When I was fighting the UFC, I would never let the doctor ever use any painkiller anytime he had to stitch me closed because I wanted to feel that pain. Because I made a mistake in there in the Octagon and I didn't want to dull the pain because there should be a consequence for that pain. And I wanted to remember that pain in the future.
Tim Kennedy.
America! You're fucking here.
I made it, man.
All right, do your thing.
I'm glad you're here. I'm here. I did make it.
I'm pumped.
Thank you. What's happening?
Just busy bee as ever. Getting ready for this book and expanding freedom, preserving, protecting human life. Man, just like the purpose of man, I guess.
I knew that you'd done a lot, and then reading the book, it feels like you've lived maybe between 4 and 5 lifetimes to fit everything in.
Yeah, my mom is absolutely positive that if like reincarnation's a real thing, I'm a cat. And that I have died 9 times already, and that I've broken the cat 9 life rule because clearly I should have been dead more than 9 times already, and I've lived at least 9 lives.
Yes. Talk to me about what's driven you through childhood to get to where you are now, the sort of person that's in front of me.
Yeah, I'm dumb. That's a big contributing factor is I'm dumb. I'm really stubborn, and I can't stop. And when you put those things together, you have this kind of relentless pursuit of, in my case, it was a purpose and an idea. And like, it didn't matter as a young man without a fully developed frontal lobe, like making lots of bad decisions. I still kept moving, right? Even almost drowning when I was, I don't know, trying to kill myself or not, but swimming out into the Pacific Ocean a couple of miles, just to try to like get another chance at life. I just kept swimming, getting blown up in Afghanistan, just kept moving, like pissing off my teammates in Iraq, being a young, ignorant narcissist. I just kept moving. So, just kind of this adventure that is life that's full of failure and lots of struggles in my life. I just kept moving.
Do you know where that comes from? Is that something that's just in you? Do you feel like that's heralded?
I think a little nature and a little nurture, my family, I'm surrounded by greatness. My grandpa came from the greatest generation, World War II hero, literally dropped bombs on Nazis type guy and survived the Great Depression, the patriarch of our family and setting everything up. And then my dad, heroic, but undercover narcotics officer, my big brother, all my uncles, Vietnam War. Like I'm surrounded by
some
greatness.
Strong genetics in there.
Just like some strong stuff. And then in the environment that I grew up in, ordinary was just not accepted. Like plain average was just not ever an allowed state of being. It was high achievers in everywhere I looked, and doing anything else besides the best that you could do was just not enough.
Did you always know that you wanted to be in the Army?
Yes. Yeah. I was at North County Christian School, the same school that this jerk made fun of Laura LeCarey because she had a new haircut that looked kind of boyish, and shame on her mom for putting that bowl on her head and then cutting her hair, but that's what happened. And he made fun of her, and I followed him up onto the playscape, and I punched him in his mouth, and I pushed him off, which broke his arm, and I got paddled in the...
How old are you?
I was 4. Yeah. And, but in the same time period, we journaled, like, and I still have this journal today. It's like this little tiny, it has wallpaper glued on the outside of it. I'm not sure if all kindergartners or kindergarten made their kindergartners do this, but inside of it, it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And like, who is your family? What does your house look like? And you draw all of these things. And what do I want to be when I grow up is a picture of a camouflage guy jumping out of an airplane and a dude wearing a martial art gi doing karate.
You're kidding me.
I'm dead serious. So there's a couple of things that are happening here. One, I very, very early on knew right and wrong, and that I was going to stand up to bullies. And 2, I kind of knew what I wanted to become. And the journey to become that was long, arduous.
Meandering.
Yeah.
Meandering. I got distracted.
Like lots of living. Before I finally, but man, I got penalized every time I went astray. Like I knew,
How so?
like thinking I had AIDS. That's a good example of it. Knocking up a bunch of women, another great example of it.
That was prior to the swim out to the ocean, right?
That's right. That's right. You know, wrecking my motorcycle. I'm not saying that my grandpa died of emphysema by my choices, but it felt like it. You know, like every time that I wasn't doing what I was put on this planet to do, I was the consequences of those bad decisions like had serious repercussions.
I've been thinking about this a lot recently. So radical responsibility, you know, Jocko's put this forward, taking complete responsibility for the things that you do. I do sometimes wonder if there's such a thing as too much responsibility, where you take responsibility for things that you don't have responsibility for. And it sounds like maybe that creeps in.
Yeah, there might be a little creep, but you absolutely in the extreme ownership Jocko approach to this. If you look at all of the things that were going wrong in my life, almost all of them were my doing. Like there were my choices and the repercussions from those. You know, like I go to an orgy with a bunch of girls after a fight, and one of the girls has HIV, and she walks into the gym. Is like, "Hey, I have HIV." It's like, cool. This is on me. There's no other blame there, right?
Yes. It wasn't somebody else's penis.
No, 100%.
My penis.
My penis. You know, like putting babies in a few different women at the same time. Like there's nobody else's penis in there. Like that's mine. And, you know, like failure at work, you know, like indecisiveness in school, like all of those things those are my decisions. And then compounded by, you know, as we deal with stress, external stressors, you have coping mechanisms, and those things are how you deal with all of these different struggles. Well, the really important ones to me at the time, one of them, my grandpa was dying in front of me. You know, every breath was just slightly less than the prior breath. So, you know, my motorcycle, like it was me that crashed that. You know, like I'm going down 90 miles an hour on Highway 46. You know, like that's a me choice when that meth head pulled out. You know, like had I been going 55, I could have been able to stop. Instead, I, you know, did not. So I definitely hear you, but I'm going to go ahead and accept ownership for the vast majority of the problems in that specific time period.
Okay, so then when you do decide to get into the armed forces, you do decide to join special forces. Yeah. Is that the beginning of a path where you begin to take a little bit more responsibility?
I love how you're like putting in a lot of the adjectives and pronouns in there, because I was not yet like beginning to, absolutely. I was starting. This was like definitely not a turn. In the hero movie, this is not like that moment where there's like hero music.
Not the call to adventure yet.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I mean, he's going to do the right thing now. That's not happening.
No, he's going to continue to fuck up for ages. Episode 5, like season 10, he might start to get things a little bit less shit. A little bit.
Yeah, that's how that journey was. So lots of really shameful, regretful moments with lots of humbling experiences.
Okay, so I've heard you talk about this a good bit. I've heard you talk about the fact that sort of shame and reflecting on deficiencies, situations where you didn't know enough, do enough, have the capacity, that's one of the driving forces for you.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, when they have that shame, it causes inertia, right? It doesn't cause movement.
Yeah, that's dumb.
But you understand why that might happen.
It's dumb.
Talk to me about that.
So if I like step on a grill, and the grill is, I don't know, let's just say, what's the temperature of a grill? 400 degrees, 500 degrees?
Too hot.
Okay, it's hot, right? And I'm standing on that grill and I'm burning. Why would I stay there? Like there's a beautiful purpose to pain. And a pain is a thing that moves us. Emotional pain, like you get cheated on by your girlfriend and you're like, ow, that really, really hurt. I'm going to go ahead and break up with this relationship, and I'm going to look for different characteristics in the next partner. Cool. Got it. I'm going to pick up this paper the wrong way, and it gave me a paper cut. Ow, that really hurt, right? Like I'm going to pick up paper differently to know not to get a paper cut the next time. I'm not going to slide my finger on the long edge of the paper. Like, so pain has this really, really important purpose. And I don't know why people dull it. People like intentionally avoid it. People deny that it ever happened. They ignore these mistakes, and they ignore these failures. They ignore these struggles, and and then like 30 years later, they're paying a few $100,000 to talk to a counselor to like work through these experiences. Or just hear me out. Acknowledge that they're real and that everybody has them, and move. And things get better. You don't burn alive on that grill. You don't cut your hand on paper. You don't get cheated on in the next relationship. And you slowly start having this improved life over just acknowledging that pain serves a purpose. And instead of doling it with whatever pills you're popping or whatever you're drinking, or whatever yoga class you're doing, and they're all different ways to dole it, just be real and be present. And it's a shame in 2022 where we curate and editorialize everything about our lives, and we hide our failures, and we use a new filter to disguise our blemishes on our face, or the scars and lines around my eyes. Like, there's a lot of living here. I want to know it. When I was fighting the UFC and in Strike Force, I would never let the doctor ever use any painkiller anytime he had to stitch me closed.
Didn't you get stitched closed by some dude with a cigarette in your face?
Yeah.
And twine or some shit.
That was pre-UFC. I think it was fishing line. I'm pretty sure it was fishing line. He had a bone necklace hanging from his neck. That was at an Indian reservation long before
cardboard on the floor and bits of rope around the bar and stuff.
Yeah. But like this at Strike Force, IFL, WC, UFC, like they had proper doctors and stitching us up. And matter of fact, I think his hashtag's like UFC doc, and he sews up everybody. And he tweets often about how uncomfortable he was stitching me up, because I would sit there with my eyes open as he's closing my cheek. And he's like, no, I'm going to give you a local. I'm like, you give me a local, I'm just going to walk out and I'm going to be the way that I am, or you can stitch me up. And he's like, I never knew what to do with this dude. But then I'd just sit there and Tim wouldn't move, and I'd sew his face closed because I wanted to feel that pain. Because I made a mistake in there in the Octagon, and I didn't want to dole the pain, because there should be a consequence for that pain. And I wanted to remember that pain in the future.
Talk to me about the difference between your first and your second deployment when you went away, because the first one you were a part of a team, and the second one you were very much
alone,
on your own.
Yeah.
Give me a sense there, because there's kind of this romantic lone wolf, like no fucks, no support needed kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
That can be put over the top of a character like you.
Yeah.
But what's it like that first time? What's the genesis of that? And the reason I ask this is there are a bunch of people listening who think, fucking yes. Like, I want this. I want to be a sovereign individual with agency who goes after it and gets after stuff in his life. But the first time that you go, that first beginning of the rock moving up the hill can be pretty uncomfortable. And I wanted to hear your sort of sensation around that.
And it's supposed to be uncomfortable. The Special Forces ODA, the Operational Detachment Alpha, which is like the 12-man A-team, right? Like the TV show, the A-team. Like it's the collective of all of the best and the brightest put into a team.
The motherfuckers of the motherfuckers.
That's right. And dude, and they are hammers. Like, I walk down halls of heroes. I mean, these guys are giants to my left and to my right, both emotionally, physically, mentally, like they're just the most incredible humans on the planet. And I'm the weakest link. I am the newest. I am the weakest. I'm the slowest. I'm the fastest to judgment. I'm the quickest to anger. I'm all of the things that I shouldn't be. And the refiner's process, like on my war table up there, if we started playing with all of the instruments of violence, all of them were forged in a really similar way, in a really violent way. They took a clump of something, they heated it, and they pounded the impurities out of it. And that's what a team does. Like, I showed up as a lump of uselessness, and through time, through grace, through forgiveness, through suffering, through... I mean, I guess now they call it hazing, but like that's part of the process that shape
expedited learning.
Yeah. And it is so important. So important. So that first team, that first deployment, I'm surrounded by the best and the brightest, and I'm learning painfully what it means to be a team member. Thank God for that, because I would be dead in Afghanistan.
Many times over.
So many times. Had they just not shaped who I was, how I'd respond, how I would think, how I would speak, not just capability and lethality, but also survivability, durability.
And then you go off on your own.
Yeah. Yeah. Not by design. I was supposed to go over as a sniper team, but my teammate, my sniper teammate had... So in the military, there's this like ever existing joke about the girl that cheats on the guy while he's deployed. And we actually have a name for her. And so that's what happened to him. He deployed and his...
What's her name?
Jody.
Oh, I've heard that in movies.
Yeah, it's pretty there. Okay. So like every time Jody or Joby? Every time that soldier goes away, she's looking for the next convenient guy. And that, you know, it was all pretty strategic for him and for her. So when he left, she drained his bank account and, filed for divorce and sold all of his stuff. So, you know, he's in war and in crisis mode. And thank God, Special Forces, for once, they never do this, like actually cared about the soldier. And they're like, there's no way he could have been combat effective, right? Like World War II, it's like, sorry, bro, you're already in Europe. Like, enjoy the beach. Hopefully you can make it up it or you're dead. This was really cool of the Army to bring him back and let him recover his life a little bit. So it wasn't so catastrophic.
Yeah. But for you,
yeah.
What about you?
Yeah. So for me, it left me with nobody.
Dick in hand.
Yeah. Just looking with a big smile and being like, what can I get myself into? What kind of trouble can I find? And I don't know if the stars had aligned, if fate is real, but I ended up being assigned to the coalition, which is like this group of special operations, and I was put directly under one sergeant major who is like kind of directly in charge of me, and he was the liaison for all of these special operations units. So every time like the British or the CANSOF or the Australian SOF, anytime those guys would be stepping out the door, there was a USASOC level 1 Special Forces sniper that was happily ready to be both a liaison, a reconnaissance, or a sniper asset for those teams. So it was like my wet dream totally coming true. I got to go work with like the coolest international forces on the planet, and it's like me, like it's just me. It was cool. Until it's not cool. When, it's cool when everything's going right and you're kicking ass. And then it's super not cool when you don't really have a team. The bomb goes off, IED explodes, vehicle in front of you just vaporizes, killing almost everybody inside of it and ending up on top of your hood. And this is like the beginning of a multi-day gunfight, and I'm with some Americans, but I'm mostly with the Czech Special Forces and like, I don't have my own team, like nobody put me in for a Purple Heart because there's nobody to write a reward for me. Like, I don't have a captain, there's nobody to put me in for anything because like there was no team. There's nobody, like, thank God I had friends and brotherhood because Mike Keller saved my life. Mike Irish saved my life.
In this particular battle?
Yeah. Mike Goebel saved my life. I mean, one instance, I had like divine intervention.
Is this where you run out of ammo?
Oh yeah, that happens. But
you run out of ammo within like 20 minutes.
Oh yeah. Like when you think that like a special forces detachment could run out of ammo, like how is this possible? Like be surrounded by 400 Iranian freedom fighters, foreign fighters, and they're not fighting for freedom. They're fighting for enslavement. I don't mean that word freedom. People call them freedom fighters, but they're really like, what's the opposite of freedom?
I don't know.
That's the type of fighters they are.
Okay.
So insert that word.
Yes.
The antithesis of freedom.
Yes.
Pricks. Anyways, so they're kicking our ass. I'm like crawling on the ground, eventually trying to find ammo. But Mike Keller, when the vehicle in front of me explodes and pink mist everywhere, Humvee lands on top of my Humvee. My Humvee starts backing out to get away from this Humvee as like RPGs are skipping off of my hood, and rounds are like ping, 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 ping in the side of this Humvee as PKM rounds are just like ting, 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 ting. Mike Keller gets up to the side of this hill. Mike Irish, who is driving, he's like, oh my God, those guys are still alive. So he like hops out of the vehicle and I was like, Mike, where are you going? So he runs back down to where we just got blown up. So I hop out of the vehicle very begrudgingly. I did not want to go with him. And I was really mad that he just was being heroic. And he runs down there and we get down there. I'm carrying my sniper rifle at this time. I have an SR-25 sniper rifle with a suppressor on the end of it. And we're trying to pull these bodies out from underneath this overturned Humvee when the assault line of the Taliban run across the ambush zone, which we call the X, like the kill zone. And all this Taliban, they're like 10 feet from me, 10 feet. And I'm trying to move my sniper rifle as I'm holding this half cut off body that's dripping bile and crap and blood all over me. And then I'm sure I'm concussed at this moment. But the thing that really gives me the real concussion is Mike Keller in the 50 cal M2 machine gun turret position. This is God. Like, I don't care what you believe. There's only one way that you can describe how Mike was able to use a machine gun with a 50 caliber machine gun and shoot rounds around Mike and I and vaporize this assault line. They just, like, there were people there. This isn't like movie like Rambo and they're like, you see guts flying through the air. It was like there were people right here, and then there were no more people. Like, they just disappeared. Not like Pink Mist in like an HBO movie where like a sniper takes a shot. I mean, they were just like there and then they weren't. And that was Mike shooting 50 cal rounds, like zipping them up and around.
Just weaving them between his teammates.
Through them.
Yes.
Wild. So we drag these soon to be dead bodies up, and we try to save them for a while. They ultimately die. We get a few ammo resupplies. We have AC-130 gunships, F-15s, F-18s, F-16s, Apache helicopters. Like, when you, actually, I think they made a movie called Broken Arrow. They did, right? Yeah. Like, Broken Arrow is a term where if you are a ground force commander and you say Broken Arrow, this like goes all the way back to the Colonel Custer days where you got surrounded, and if you don't send every single resource that you have available right now, we're all going to die. That's what that term means.
Okay, that's the Hail Mary call of all Hail Marys.
That is like, if there is a plane in the air, it comes to me. If there's a helicopter that has enough gas to come here and has one bullet left, it will fly here.
There's a guy with a hammer, bring him.
Yes. Yeah. Cool, you got a screwdriver? I'll take you.
You're on.
Yeah, that is what this call means. So when they called Broken Arrow, it's like, we're all going to die. Every single one of us is not going to make it out of this valley. And so then, like, it changed slowly from all of us maybe dying, probably dying, to everyone around us dying and us still thinking we're going to die. Which leads me to then Mike Goebel. I'm walking up to a door where I think we're 3 days into this gunfight. I still haven't slept. I still have a concussion. I have like hours of this gunfight that I don't remember. I have moments where like we crest a hill and I find the support camp for the Taliban, and there's like a bunch of Taliban in front of us. I'm now somehow in a Czech vehicle. Like, I'm with the Czech Special Forces. Like, I left the Americans.
This kind of sounds a little bit to me like some of the after parties that I've been back to. Yeah. Like, this is the same discordant story of like, and then before I knew it, I'm in this villa, and then I'm on a golf course, and I have no idea how I got here. And
no clue.
Yeah. Okay.
The brain's wild.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially when it's like damaged.
Yes.
You know? And I'm walking up to a door, and we just got shot at from this compound. And Mike Goebel, it felt like he hit me. He shoved me so hard. Both hands, like a rugby slam, double leg John Jones takedown. You like insert the most athletic movement you can, most violent. He shoves me in front of this door, and we kind of split apart as his energy pushes me back. The energy of him pushing me back pushes him back, and then the door disintegrates as machine gun rounds just trace through here and splinter this door. I never heard a bolt drop. I never heard a weapon go from safe to fire. There's no way that he heard it, because when we finally get in this door, we find the machine gun nest. It's about 20 meters back inside this compound. So there's no explanation to how Mike knew that this door was about to get disintegrated.
Did you ask him?
He's dead now.
Did you get to ask him before he was dead?
No, we fought. We got in a fist fight like 2 days later. Yeah.
Best of friends.
Best of friends.
All right. So these sort of situations, does that make stepping into the octagon to punch somebody else in the face under a relatively now restrictive rule set with a guy in there whose job it is to make sure that if anything close to serious happens, that everything stops? Does that make that seem a bit like, not silly or farcical, but kind of tame?
Yes and no. Like, I would walk into the octagon overly relaxed.
And do you think that was contributed to by your time in tennis?
Yeah. Like Leo Korlinski, when I was fighting for the IFL, I remember the first time that he ever saw me fight, he's like, what is wrong with you? Like, you need to be excited.
Many things.
Yeah. Like, you need to be excited or like nervous. Like, what are you doing? I was like, Leo, it's fine, bro. Just like, go sit down. I'm going to go fight in a minute. He's like, you are going to go fight in a minute. Can you like recognize that you're about to go fight? I was like, yeah. I go out and knock the guy out in the first round. Leo, can you be cool now? So it took like 10 fights for Leo to realize that like, meh. But everything's even in fighting. You know, so while I would walk in so relaxed, you know, not stressed, the weight class is very specific. You know, your opponent is picked so that you guys have a competitive fight because nobody wants to watch, you know, like Mike Tyson fight a prime Mike Tyson fight a 43-year-old fat white dude that came off the couch. Like, that's not interesting. They want to see like two apex predator peak athletes go head to head, you know, gorilla versus bear, you know, lion versus polar bear. Like, that's what we're looking for. So, you know, even the referee, like his purpose there is to make sure that we not just are safe, but that we also fight under the constrictions and the limitations that are the rule set, which makes it very competitive, especially when you start getting up to title fights. And, you know, like I spent the last 10 years of my career ranked top 10 in the world. So like, I'm only fighting top 10 guys, you know, like the Michael Bispings and the Robbie Lawlers and the Jacares. And that, you know, that's hard. Like that's hard.
What's the difference between training for fighting and training for violence? Training for combat violence?
There's no difference. No, they're training is training.
I mean, have you used BJJ in a combat situation?
Yeah. I in Iraq, kind of humiliating story, so I'm not going to tell all of it. I'll just give you the high points. We do a call out. We go to a bomb maker's house and we tell everybody come out. This is not in the book. And almost everybody comes out, but one guy stays in there, and we ask the family, who is this and why is he in there? And they're like, he's crazy. The language barrier, it was difficult to determine if he was like jihad crazy or if he was like special needs crazy. We later find out that he was the latter. And so when I go in there with my team and we do a direct action like hard knock assault, you know, like flashbangs, like this guy, as I turn the corner, I'm the number 2 guy. Number 1 guy goes right. I went left as a center fed room. And this guy was like, rah! And he like came. I butt stroke him, breaking every bone in his face. And then like he grabs onto me as he's falling. And in my mind, he's like grabbing all of my stuff on my kit, right? Like I got a knife here. I got my pistol here. I have some flashbangs. I got my grenades back here. So I grab his arm, I grab his wrist, I reach over his arm, I Kimura, and I break every bone in his shoulder, his arm. Like everything is like turned to dust and powder. But the Kimura is a jiu-jitsu move. And I just did it in violent war settings. And like it is a very great technique to do in competition, but like it works just fine. Kimura is also the best technique for weapon retention. Like we use goosenecks and finger flexes to wrist locks to get weapons and knives out of people's hands. We use the Americana when we're in mountain position. We use knee on belly to give me a chance to like look around to make sure. It's like, yeah, it's a lot of similarities. And the brain and the body are shaped in the same way. Like training's training. And the reason that you see so many high-level athletes in special operations that are coming from really, really violent type sports. You see lots of wrestlers. You see lots of water polo players. You see lots of rugby, lots of football. And they're coming from environments that training like this is really normal. So when they go to Special Forces selection or they go to the Q course, they're like, yeah, this is cool. Yeah,
I've been here before.
Yeah, I've been here before. Everyone else is like, what is going on? Like, my feet have never felt like this. Like, man, I did 2 days in Texas during football camp. This isn't anything.
You're spinning a lot of plates. You're headmaster of a school now, sheepdog response.
Headmistress, don't pronoun me wrong.
Sorry, I used to identify, now identifies as headmistress.
Yeah, I'm the headmistress of the school.
There's someone listening to this that thinks, this sounds fucking dope. Like, I'm motivated. I want to be this person. I want to have control over my life. I'm going to set my alarm for 6 a.m. I'm going to find a BJJ gym close to me. I'm going to do all of this. 5:30, sorry. 4:30 if you're Jocko.
Yeah. That's too early.
Yeah, he's got it wrong.
That's just too much.
There's someone that's thinking that's what they want to do. But when the alarm goes off tomorrow morning, they're going to hit snooze.
Yeah. So
what is it that's causing you to not hit snooze?
But you can't relegate it to a single decision like that. You know, I've made like millions of decisions leading up to, like, I went to bed on time. You know, like, I had an amazing and intimate night with my wife. You know, like, she fell over sweaty and smiling. I went and hopped in the shower, came back in bed, and like, I'm going to sleep hard, right? Like, not like figuratively, not literally.
Yes.
You know, like, perfect. Long day of work, had 2 great workouts, super productive, got to spend time with my family, had a fantastic meal. All of those little decisions led to that alarm going off at 5:30 and me popping up and be like, nice. And it's playing, let's see, this morning was Life on Mars. That was my alarm this morning. And it's rad, you know? It's like, boom, and I'm up. Loving this song, ready to go after the day. But I wasn't ready for that alarm by it going off. I was ready by like thousands of other things that I did before that. So, like, you can't narrow it to a single moment. You have to look at the millions of other opportunities that you had to make the right decisions. And that trend, all of those collectively will start making a difference, will start mattering.
It's about speeding up and slowing down. I think that if momentum is taking you toward a suboptimal place, a bad place, maybe all of your effort simply needs to go into slowing that momentum down for a little while. And it would be great if you could go and hit every workout and do all of these things. But you've probably got some bad habits that you could do with deprogramming first before you try to add some of the new good ones in. And that's going to happen step by step by step.
Well, this goes back to what we were talking about at the very beginning about, like, how do you know that those bad habits are putting you in a trajectory negative?
Because you reflect and it hurts.
Yeah.
You feel the pain.
Yeah, that's right. Because you remember the pain.
Well, they say that true hell is when the person that you are meets the person you could have been.
Yeah, man, that'd be terrible.
You feel the delta between where that person is and where you are. So something that I've considered, you've got this very heroic story. The book's fantastic. Lots of different things that you've done and achieved. And, you know, during the 15 minutes that I was late here, you've built a new gun and fucking organized a bunch of other stuff for your school and other things like that. What I'm always interested in is the price that people pay to be themselves, especially high achievers. What's the price that you pay to be Tim Kennedy?
Bad knees. My knees are trashed. The emotional baggage, you know, like I watched like I was watching the movie The Searchers with John Wayne.
Not seen it.
Dude, you need to watch this movie.
Good.
Yeah, it's old. It's old and it's raw and it's primal. Story of John Wayne, frontier, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona type, and they're homesteaders building their existence, carving in Comanche, Apache land, and they see a fire in a smoke trail in a nearby, kind of near, about a day's ride, and so they head out to check it out, and it was a lure to bring John Wayne away from his brother's house, where his nephew, his niece, and his sister-in-law were all there. The Indians come in, they kill everybody, they kill his brother, they kill his wife, they kill his nephew, and they steal this little girl. And John Wayne comes back to find their raped bodies and burnt male bodies. And like, this is early, this is 60s, and his missing niece. So the movie The Searchers is he then goes, this whole entire movie, it's about 20 years of this movie goes on where he's searching for this, no, it's about 15 years, this little girl. And he is a racist, violent man. He fought for the Confederate Army. Now, like, every Indian, red blood, half-breed, you could just see the chip on his shoulder. And you don't know by the end of this movie what he's going to actually do when he finds this little girl. Like, is he going to kill her? Like, she is now an Indian. She's been with them for 15 years. And as he's like running down, or he's on this horseback chasing this little girl as she's running away from him out of fear of this white man, as he's trying to rescue this little girl, I am bawling my eyes out in like relating to so many things, like having been to so many places and having so many cultural questions of like, what is right, what is wrong, like what is right for him? Should he have killed all these people after they killed his family? Like, is that right? Is that justice? Is that vigilante justice? Is this like, where's the justice here? And like, what is supposed to happen to this girl? And all these questions. So the price is Bad Knees. So Scars and Stripes, the name of the book. Like there's lots of scars on the outside, clearly, as you look at my face, you know, like my ears and like my orbital sockets, my hands and my knees. You know, and then there's scars on the inside. There's plenty of them. And stripes in the military are symbols of you having experienced things, like your number of deployments, your time overseas, how long you've been in the military, like what rank you are. All of those things are testaments to who you are. So like, what is the cost to be me? Like there is a lot of pain.
Talking about scars and stripes, what's your favorite scar and what's your favorite stripe?
Favorite scar is probably this one right here, Robbie Lawler. And he threw an uppercut. He's a southpaw. My head was on the center as I was doing a double leg against the cage. We drilled in training my head position probably 100 times. And in the fight, I thought I was faster. I thought I was better. And he blasted me with this uppercut, just like we knew he would, in the exact same way that we had game planned him to do it. And so I carry that scar in. I prepared properly. I trained correctly. I had all of the knowledge and resources to be able to not have this scar. But then I went on to brutalize him for 15 minutes and ultimately like win a pretty big fight over, you know, UFC welterweight champion. But like, so I wear this chunky scar on my nose with pride. And then, I think a lot of people would talk about their rank or they'd talk about their combat stripes. In special operations, where like when you go through that book, when we went through the legal review, most of the names in this book are dead now. And, most of my friends, like literally most of my friends, my sniper partner, sniper school, dead. Sniper partner in deployment, dead. Mike Goebel, dead. You know, like when you go through the legal review, the woman that did it, the lawyer was like, she started crying about 10 names in. I was like, just wait till Memorial Day. Like, imagine how I feel, you know? So the stripes of me still just being here, of which are your years in service, I'm proud of those, because like the song Rooster, you know, you can't kill me yet.
What's it feel like to reflect on the fact that so many people that you admired so much that helped you become the person that you are now aren't here to see the person that you are now?
And ironically, the ones that are here are the ones that just want to see me fail. So it's kind of wild, but
that's strange,
isn't it? Yeah.
I wonder if that's selection somehow. I wonder if the ones, what is it?
I think about this all the time.
Die the hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yeah, I think about it all the time. It's like, why is this one like that one? Why is that one still alive and that one's dead? You know, like, yeah, it's wild. You go down that why question, man, that is a dark hole. Yeah. Be the bottom of the bottle on that one.
But that's one of the motivations for you, right? You say you don't want to feel helpless. You don't want to feel like you don't know. There's that story about, I think you were an EMT when you were 18 or something, and you were trying to fix some girl, and then the guy came over that knew what he was supposed to do and said, you need to find somebody else.
Yeah, I got this.
Yeah, I got this.
Yeah, Tom Way, I love you.
Is he still about?
He's still about.
Good man. Yeah. We got one.
Yeah, there's one.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that frustration of not knowing what to do and that helplessness is something that like that is a pain that like you'll carry forever. And that is a shame. That is a humiliation of like standing there like, I don't know what to do. Like had I trained, had I prepared, had I made more of those right decisions, I wouldn't be standing here. I would already be taking action and saving somebody's life. But instead, out of whatever selfish decisions I made prior, I don't know what to do. And now this person might die. So yeah, it's a big motivator.
What can you tell us about what you're doing next?
Man, that's tricky. When does this podcast come out?
When do you want it to come out?
Well, if we do it in like 2 weeks, then I can say that I'm going to Eastern Europe tomorrow, and that I will be going to work with Save Our Allies in a humanitarian assistance type role to help.
Is this part of your NGO?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, Save Our Allies is a nonprofit, non-government organization that goes to contested areas to save.
Are you lily padding these people out?
Yep.
Cool.
Some of them. Yeah. I don't know if like Finland, Romania, Poland, and Hungary count as lily pads because they're kind of just neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it works.
Cool, man. Tim Kennedy, ladies and gentlemen. Dude, I love what you do. I'm very, very happy that I'm in the same city as you. I'm looking forward to connecting hopefully after this as well.
For sure.
Good luck, man. Stay safe. I think we need more people like you.
Thanks for the chat.
What's happening, people? Thank you very much for tuning in. If you enjoyed that episode, then press here for a selection of the best clips from the podcast over the last few weeks. And don't forget to subscribe. Peace.